Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final NFL Power Rankings. These are my top 10 teams going into the playoffs. And at number 10, I debated whether it would be these guys or the Steelers, but I went with the Seattle Seahawks. They had an ugly win against the 49ers this week. I feel like they've had a couple ugly wins with an ugly win against the Rams last week as well. But I feel like they should still be on the list. I mean, they won the division. I think they ended 12-4. They don't seem quite right. The offense isn't clicking like they were at the beginning of the season. The defense seems a little bit better, but things don't seem quite right. And if they're going against, who are they going against? Going against the Bears are 7. I guess they're going against the Rams. They'll probably beat the Rams, but then they probably don't go much farther after that. And I just think that unless the offense can really get going, which it seems like they haven't been, it seems like they've been doing just enough to win games, then I just don't see them getting incredibly far in the playoffs. But I still feel like I should put them on the list over the Steelers or the Bears. Or definitely the Rams, because the Rams have looked really bad. I don't even know how they won against the Cardinals. And I'm going to put the Colts at number 9, right above them. The Colts had a big win against the Jaguars this week, putting themselves in the playoffs with a Miami loss, which, that's a big deal. Like the Colts were not very good last year. I think they were like 5-11, 6-10 around there, and they really turned around this season. You could say it was Rivers, you could say it was Jonathan Taylor, the new assets to their team, but they've been really solid this year, and I feel like they're a really complete team. Like the offense can get it done, the defense is really good, the special teams is really good. I think this could be a scary team in the playoffs, but I don't know. I don't see them beating Buffalo, and there's definitely some problems. Like, the offense isn't quite as explosive as I think it needs to be as, like, a Chiefs or a Packers or a Bills. But I still think that this is a really good team, and not someone you'd want to face in the playoffs, but with them going against Buffalo, I don't see a lot of ways that they win that game, with Buffalo having so much momentum right now. And so I'm going to put the Titans above them, but it's close. I've loved seeing the whole back and forth with the Colts and the the Titans this year for the AFC South. It's been my favorite divisional battle this year. Maybe Browns Steelers, but that hasn't been as much of a battle with the Steelers getting off to such a good start, and then I thought it would come back. But anyway, Titans are really solid. Derrick Henry is a monster. Tannehill plays well. Their receivers are great. Their defense is going to be a problem, though. I don't think it's enough to bring them far enough. I think their offense can put up a lot of points, but if their defense can't stop other teams from putting up points, there's only so much you could do against teams that have good defenses. It just doesn't match up well enough. And so I think that their match with the Ravens is actually my favorite one of the first playoff weekend. I think it's going to be a close game, and I think they could pull it out, but I don't see them getting much farther. I think that they just need a little bit more of a pass rush, a little bit of a better defense, because if you can't stop a team from scoring on you, then at some point your luck is going to run out. Derrick Henry can only bring you so far. When in the playoffs, you're going against teams that are smart enough to really blitz the front and to just stop him from getting far. And so I put the Browns above them. Browns are a little bit of a weird one. I mean, they had a okay win today against the Steelers, but I didn't feel like they looked great. And they were going against a couple Steelers backups, too, with Mason Rudolph and everything. I don't know. Like, I thought they were good, and I think they've had a good season, and I'm really happy that they broke their long streak of not being in the playoffs. I don't like the idea of a team going 18 years without being in the playoffs. I think that's really big for them. I mean, I'm not a Browns fan or anything. I'm happy to see that. And they've been solid. Like, the offense has been moving. Defense has been pretty good. Running game has been great. I see them as a good team and possibly beating Pittsburgh, but then not getting much farther. They're another one who I feel like they're a good team, and I felt like they should be on the list, but I don't see them getting to an AFC Championship or a Super Bowl. And I put the Buccaneers above them. The Buccaneers lately have been absolutely rolling. Big win against the Falcons. Although the Falcons stayed in that game, but they seem to always stay in games, so that's not really a good measure. And I just think the Offense has been rolling. The defense could be better. I think it's been almost regressing a little bit, but it's been really good. They've been a solid team. Brady has been looking great. A Brady looking good in playoff times is all you really need for your team to be successful. And I think the Buccaneers actually could get pretty far in the playoffs because they'll beat football team. Let's be real. And then I think they could win against like a Packers or a Seahawks or something like that. So I can see them getting to an NFC Championship game and possibly even the Super Bowl. I don't want to quite say that, but they're one who I think could definitely be a sneaky one in the mix. But I put the Ravens above them. The Ravens, while they've been beating bad teams, they've still just been stomping them, and they have a ton of momentum going into the playoffs. I think other than the Bills, they actually have the most momentum going into the playoffs with just how they've been able to really turn it around this season. It seems like they've been playing with a lot of energy, and I think they're going to be a tough one going into the playoffs. I think, like I said before, I think their match with the Titans is going to be really good. And, they beat the Bengals, they beat the Jaguars. Like, they're not being these great teams, but they're still winning, and they're still winning in a really dominant way. And so I think they have a lot of momentum going into the playoffs. I think that Lamar has been playing great football. I think the offense is really starting to click, which I felt like they really hadn't been this season. But now it feels like they're finally getting there. And their defense is playing good, but not great. That's why I put them at 5 rather than like a top 3. But I think this will be a really good team going into the playoffs. But I have the Saints above them. I couldn't even tell you why, because I know in my heart that they are a good team. They ended like 12-4. It just, like I said last week, something just doesn't feel quite right with the Saints. Like, it feels like they're very vulnerable. Like, they're winning these games, and they're winning them fine, but something just feels wrong. And that kind of brings me on to number 3 with the Chiefs, who also, you can't really measure this week against the Chargers. They're playing with all backups. Although I think Chargers actually ended on a 4-game win streak, which I thought was kind of cool. I think Herbert could actually cause some real problems in the NFL for teams going against him. I think he's going to be great. The Chiefs are another one where they keep winning these games close. But I have trouble doubting that they're not going to really step up for the postseason. We all saw what happened last year where they completely kicked it into high gear and just went through the Super Bowl with almost ease. And there's something to be said about them winning these games. I just feel like at some point here, their luck's going to run out, and they're going against a lot of good teams in the playoffs here, especially in the AFC picture, that they're kind of like the Saints, where I just think that they're a little bit vulnerable, which is why I don't put them at number 1 or 2. And so I think that the Packers would beat them. The Packers, they definitely have some defensive issues. Big win against the Bears this week. They really, I feel like, needed that confidence boost to go in because they felt like they could beat a good team, in my opinion. But they clinched the NFC picture, like they're the number 1 seed, and their offense has just been incredible. Aaron Rodgers has probably, in my opinion, had his best season yet. I think he got 48 touchdowns on the season, which, if you really break that down, I think it's an average of 3 a game, which is just crazy. And yeah, the Packers have just been playing great. They have a lot of momentum. But I think the Buffalo Bills beat them. The Bills have just had so much momentum lately. We saw that Dolphins game. They demolished them. And Josh Allen only played for half of it, and he looked incredible for the half that he played. I think that the Bills are going to win the Super Bowl. I really do. I think they're just going to go all the way through. I think they'll beat the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Titans. I think they'll beat all of them. And I just think that they'll run right through, and they could beat any NFC team, any AFC team. I think that this Bills team has just been really creeping up on us in a way that we didn't really realize. And I think they could do some really scary things in the playoffs. Thank you everyone so much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments and subscribe.